my viewers. My name is Liz Kagema. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Kindly like, share, and subscribe. Okay, today we are going to discuss a very interesting topic. I'm referring to as helicopter parenting. Some people may wonder, what does the helicopter has to do with parenting? Because when they talk about the word helicopter, they already think about the helicopter we see in the sky. So today that's what we're going to discuss about it. And when you talk about parenting, we don't have any definite way of raising up your children. Each and every parent chooses or guardian chooses the best way to raise his or her children. So we don't have exact way you should raise your parent, but we have some principles, some guidelines which can help you bring up children who are stable, who are of high integrity, who are exposed, who can be responsible. Because at the end of the day, you'll not be with your children for the rest of your life. There is a time you have to part ways because of school, education, because of maybe work, and even when they become adult. Somehow you'll find yourself going to separate ways, or even one of you may pass on. So, as a parent or a guardian, it is very important to bring up your child in a manner that that child will able to be a responsible adult. But most of the time, because of the fear, our past, we bring up our children in a manner that we become so overprotective. And by the time those children they are becoming young adults, they cannot be responsible of their life. And that's why you have seen so many children, when they are young adults, they are hopeless, they do not know where to start. They cannot even trace their bearing. So let's go to today's topic, which is helicopter parenting. And I want to define the term helicopter parenting so that all of us will be at par. We will all understand what it is helicopter parenting. So when I'll be discussing it, you have the understanding. So helicopter parenting is where a parent, and this parent will call her or him a helicopter parent. So it is the helicopter parent who is doing the helicopter parenting. So helicopter parent pay extremely close attention. Note the word extremely close attention to their kids' activities and schoolwork to protect them from any pain and disappointments. So we have this term I've talked about, extremely. It's not just paying attention, it is extremely close attention to their children activities and even schoolwork. And this one is to protect them. The aim, where these parents paying very close attention to their children, is to protect them from any pain or disappointment, so that they can help them to succeed. Well, all of us, we are a victim of this. We do not want our children to experience any pain, any disappointment. We want them always to succeed. When you're talking about the helicopter parenting, we talk of a parent who is doing something we call of a parenting. And it involves excessive levels of involvement. It involves excessive levels of involvement. Let me give some examples so all of us can understand what I'm talking about. The first example, and most of us here will be victims of this. How many parents out there you do the homework for your children? Hands up. Yes, quite a number. Parents tend to do homework for their children because they do not want their children to struggle when doing the homework. So they see the best way, because this child is struggling to do the homework, let me do the homework for this child. You don't want this child to strain when doing their homework. You do not want this child to be disappointed if he or she get lower marks. Another thing, and this one mostly they do so that the kid will always be getting good grades. Remember, I said from the definition, you do not want the child to get disappointment. So you do not want your child to get disappointment by getting low grades. So you do the homework for them. And also you don't want your child to get stressed. Another thing, it is tracking, not, another thing is quarreling with their teachers in case they do anything wrong. We have seen this. When I was a teacher, I could see parents coming to school to quarrel a teacher because there was a little misunderstanding or because the teacher punished the child because of being indisciplined. You find parents going to school to quarrel a teacher because he punished a child. Maybe the child was told to pick some litter somewhere, and the child went home crying. Mommy, Daddy, I was told to pick some litter and take them to the dustbin. How? How can someone tell my child to pick some litter? You go to school, you quarrel the teacher. Another thing, you do not want your children to get involved in any activities. You do not want them to cook. You do not want them to clean. You do not want them to iron. You do not want them to make their bed. And these are not toddlers. They are children who are supposed to be responsible of their small activities. A teenager cannot make a bed because you have a house girl or a house help, or because you opt to do it for her because you don't want your child to get tired. After school, they cannot polish their shoes because that would be too much. The house girl is there. In fact, you even quarrel or even chase house girls away in case you realize they are telling your children to do minor chores in the house. Another example is you do not want your children to have any dirt or to do any extra work. And you find this one mostly the people who stay in town, they do not want their children to get out of the compound, out of the door, because they'll come out, they'll go, they pray the other children, they'll get some dirt. You think even praying itself, jumping up and down is too much for them. You do not want them. You want them to stay in the house with a big screen, with the PlayStation, so that they have the comfort life you wish they have. Those are some examples of how parents do helicopter parenting. Now, what are the effects? We have seen, and most of us, we are victim of this. In a way or the other, we can be called helicopter parents. Now, let's see the effect. When we bring up these children like eggs, we do not want them to do anything. No hard task, no responsibility, even making their bed. It's only that you cannot brush their teeth. You can, if there's that chance of brushing their teeth. Even in the morning, a 10-year-old girl cannot dress herself. A 13-year-old boy cannot polish his shoes. You do not want them to do anything. So what are the effects? Yes, we bring them up. We think because we are wealthy, we have something to, we have money to employ house girl. That's the best way. But what are the effects? What are the long-run effects of bringing up children under helicopter parenting? The first one, they'll not have independence. They'll have lack of independence. What do I talk? This child has not done this on their own. They do not know that you can get to the house, you wash your uniform, or you polish your shoes, you take your snack, you sit down, do the homework, you do your homework, then you sit down, you take your dinner. They only know that you get to the house, you are told, don't, let me do for you, let me do your homework, go sleep, go wash your face, do this, do that. They lack independence. And that's a problem now we are experiencing. And I think I talked about it. This time, the people we employ, the young adults, because most of them experience helicopter parenting, when they get to the institutions, they cannot even able to do anything on themselves. They have to get to the office. Even before you get to the office, they will sit down and wait for you to give the basic instruction. Even them, they cannot put on a laptop, put on a computer. They are waiting for you as their supervisor to tell them, now, why have you not put on the laptop? You're supposed to be typing ABCD, or you're supposed to be checking the emails. They cannot, because they lack independence. The other thing is that these children, most of the time, because they don't have the basic skills or soft skills, they lack self-esteem. They are shy because they do not know what to do and when to do. So we are always at the background, especially in schools or institutions. You find that person who is always at the background. He wants or she wants somebody to start something, then they can come in, and they don't have the confidence even to do it. They keep on checking what you're doing. They don't have that confidence saying, I can, because they have never had the chance of doing things on their own. Everything is done for. So when they are asked to do, because they don't know whether they are capable of doing, they do not have self-esteem. Another thing that most of these people suffer depression. The child is used of being done for everything, everything, homework. They have the very comfortable life. Their mothers, their fathers do not want them to do anything, any task at home. Then all of a sudden, this child is employed, and there's a lot is expected from them. That's why they're employed. So there's a lot of expectation from the institution. So this person get a lot of stress, get a lot of issues, and at the end of the day, they get depressed, and most of the time, they are pushed into drugs and alcoholism. But the key, I mean, the foundation of this problem is the way they were brought up. Another thing is that you realize these people, they do not know who they are. They are unsure of themselves, and they don't know the inner them, because the inner them was suppressed. There was no time they made decisions. The decisions were made for them. The work was done for them. So if you ask them what they are good at, they have no idea. The only thing they have an idea of is the grade they got. And mind you, this is the same parents who go ahead an extra mile to buy even the resource for their children. You know, there was a time in this country when the grades didn't matter much, because parents used to go a notch higher to buy resource for their children. So some of these children are not sure whom they are, and they don't know their potentials and their ability. Another effect is that some of these children do not get the chances to experience life, to discover life, and also to reach their potentials, and also discover their talent. Because this child, even taking a piece of chalk and trying to paint with it or write it somewhere, or even a book, it is no, don't justify yourself. No, there's no homework. I've done your homework. So most of them, they are unable to discover their talents because they didn't have a chance. You don't want their chance to go and touch the mud. Yeah? You don't want them to get that. And maybe if that child was allowed to play with mud, could have developed a talent of being a potter or being or something who can create something. So those are some of the things which affect the children who have been exposed to helicopter parenting, that the parent is always in the control. You can talk about the helicopter being here with some string, and the child is here. So the helicopter is the one decides how the child will move. So those are the effects of, and these are negative effects. And that's why some of these children after school, they do not want to go and look for jobs, because they are full of anxiety. They are not sure what to expect outside there, because their life it is in a comfort zone. It is a controlled environment. If it is homework, the mother was making sure that it's done. If it is like going outside, they do not. They want them to be in the house and playing their games and watching the movies. Now, these are the children after university. They cannot handle life on their own. They cannot know that they can wake up in the morning, go to class, study, and do their homework. Most of the students are dropping out in the universities. The same in case they are able to go through the university because there is nothing much. They do not want to step out and look for jobs. And you can see so some of these, the parents go ahead, look for them good jobs, but they cannot sustain those jobs because they are so scared to stand on their own. They know that this life is controlled by their parents. This life can only go on if the parent is at the background, and you cannot go to with your child to where they are working. So you realize that your child does not want to get out of home because of the environment you have created. It's called helicopter parenting. Another thing you realize that this child, they always have negative self-image because at the end of the day, because now they are growing up, they tend to think, did my parent do all this for me because I'm not capable? Does it mean my parents did all this for me because I cannot able to do it on my own? Does it mean my parents did all this for me because I'm weak? So they develop a negative self-image because some of the things you're avoiding your child to get exposed to, they are the things which make the person develop a positive self-image. Because when a child is undergoing an issue, maybe it's failing the grade and that child works very hard and obtain good grades, that is a positive thing in that child's life. So he believes or she believes that in case I work hard, I can able to improve. Then that's the energy they'll have. That if I work hard, I can able to improve. And they believe in their hard working. So they become people who believe in themselves, they trust themselves, they are courageous, they have confidence, self-esteem. So the moment they are controlled by their parents in everything, they have negative self-image. Now, parents, what some of the things we can do so that we minimize helicopter parenting? I know some of us, we say, I was brought up with a lot of hardship, especially as we were brought up in the village, because we used to go, we wake up in the morning, we milk the cows, we go to school, we come, we fetch firewood, we fetch water, you do something, then you go to the house, there is no electricity. Yeah? We had those small lamps, you do the homework, sometimes you don't finish, you go the following day in the morning, you're beaten because you are late and you didn't finish the homework. You keep on swearing. I was brought up. I don't want my child to bring up my child in the same way. You can bring up your children in the best way possible without exposing them to the extreme, and still bring up people of high who believe in themselves, with high self-esteem and such. So here are some tips which you can employ or use so that you avoid the extreme part of helicopter parenting. The first one, give your child his space over time. When you have a 5-year-old child, you can encourage that child to be removing utensils from the dining table to kitchen. Small tasks. When that child has gone to school, you can encourage them to be polishing their shoes. Then, in case they are not doing it well, you repeat, or the house help repeat. So give them space over time. As they progress, as they grow up, there are different tasks which are appropriate for every stage. When they are at the secondary school, they should be knowing how to cook. They should know how to iron clothes. They should know how to make their bed perfectly. They should know that they can cook basic meal in the house in case there is no one to cook. They should even have a day you do this, a day you do this. So try to expose your children to various tasks of time. This one will make them have opportunity. They have opportunities to know who they are, to discover their talents, to discover their capability. And this one, it is very important for their future career, because a child may realize I'm very good or enjoy doing so, this and that one can be a foundation to their future career. Another thing, do not make every decision for them. Sometimes be quiet and let them make decisions. Sometimes just watch for a distance. You don't have to make a decision for everything. Give them that space to make some decisions. And sometimes let them even fail so that they can learn from their mistakes. So it is good to not make every decision for your children, especially when they go to secondary schools. Try to not to tighten a bit, loosen a bit, so that they can able to make decision on their own. And this one is very important when they'll be making lifetime decisions, when they'll be making money decisions. Even sometimes be sending them with excess money to the supermarket. If they need to use 800, give them even 3,000. Let them go to the supermarket and see how they can spend that money, because you say they should use 800, give excess money. If they return the change, know that you're bringing up a person who is responsible. If they do not, you know there's a problem here, and now you start to teach them how to be responsible with money or financial management. Another thing, it is okay to make mistakes. As parents, sometimes we worry too much about our children. We do not want to make mistakes. You think your parents made some mistake, so now we do not want to make the same mistakes. No. If you guide your children well, you do your part without being so overprotective, without paying the extreme close attention to them, all will be okay. But sometimes we worry too much. People are full of stresses of things which are even imaginary. They do not exist. So it is okay in case you make a mistake, learn from those mistakes. But do not even blame yourself that this way I'm bringing my children, I don't want them to have this, I don't want them to go through this. No. Any mistake done, learn a lesson from it. Another thing, teach your children on how to handle their problems. Even some petty problems, the children cannot handle on their own. They have to come home and tell you, Mommy, my deskmate called me something. Mommy, my deskmate pushed me. Mommy, the teacher said I was talking much in class. Mommy, no. Let them tell them that now you are a school going child. Some of these things you should handle them at school. But a helicopter parents, what do? The following morning, we go to the school and we abuse the teachers, the administration, every person, even threatening them who you are. You don't care who you are. The what we caring about is about this child you are bringing up. Another thing, let them face some little challenges. In this modern parenting, we do not know how to use the word no. Mom, I want this, have it. Mommy, I want this, yes, have it. Mommy, I want this, have it. Daddy, I want this, have it. Daddy, I want this, have it. There is no time, even you sit down with your child and explain why he or she cannot get that thing she or he is asking at that moment. We are yes parents. At the moment your child goes outside and meets some challenges of no, they cannot able to handle it. What are they doing? They either become violent, they get into drugs, or become withdrawn. They stay on their own cocoon because they are not used to being told. So let them know there's no and yeses in our life. Your child is in class 2. Mommy, I want tablet. If you think it's not important for your child at that moment, say no. And let's know that when I say no, it's not because I hate you. I say no because I don't think at this moment you need it, or at this moment, we as a family, we cannot able to afford it. Let them know with explanation. Another thing, give them, and I think I've talked about this, give them appropriate responsibilities according to their age. Let them start small chores in the house, small tasks as they progress. And then by the time they are becoming young adults, they are responsible and they can able to do anything on their own. Hmm? They can able to cook, to clean their house, to be able to manage their time well, to manage their finances well. So give them according some responsibilities according to your age. Another thing, as a parent, know your boundaries. Know your boundaries. You see, so some parents, they want to bathe their teenagers. There you have crossed your boundaries. A teenager is a person who's supposed to bathe himself, take a shower, clean himself. But you want to go and bathe your teenager boy. You want to go and clean your teenager girl. No. Know where your boundaries reaches and let them do what they're supposed to do. There are things when you do to your children, you are violating their privacy, you are violating their space. You're intruding into their space. So also it is good to set boundaries in your house. If you're in a neighborhood where you think it's very dangerous for the children to go and pray outside the gate, let them pray within the compound, or identify a specific family where your children or those children can come and pray together. So at least know where you are, and with the know your environment, and that environment, make best use of it instead of being fearful, being stressful on way forward on how to bring up your children. It is always good to create your own environment which will be suitable for your children, because at the end of the day, when you bring these children, we don't see the issues. When we become young adults, that's the time we start regretting. That's the time you want your child to go outside and look for a job. That child does not want to go, because this child is afraid of stepping outside alone, because they have never in their life stood up with their 2 feet, because mommy has always been there, daddy has always been there to protect them from any pain and disappointment. And in life, there's full of disappointment. You do this, you don't even go for an interview. Sometimes you go for an interview and you're disappointed. Some children cannot hold it that she or he went for an interview and failed. They'll say, I'll never go to another one. So, as parents, let's try to release our base, to loosen our bait, so that we can give our children some space, so that by the time they are going to be young adults, they'll be responsible, they have the confidence, and they believe in themselves, and they have a positive self-image. Thank you so much for watching my video. Kindly click on the notification bell so that you can watch many more of my videos. Thank you so much. Bye.